So different people are born with different attributes. There's a big discussion when it comes to behavior, and that is nature versus nurture. People are born a certain way. Is there a natural tendency that people have? Or are we all born exactly the same, like blank slates of parchment, right? And then whatever you put on it is what the child or person becomes. Or are people born with certain characteristics? So the answer seems from Chazal is that people are born with certain characteristics. Those characteristics are not bad. It's just how you apply them. The Gemara says, for example, a person may be born with the desire, if they're born under the star sign of Mars, Mars is they want to see blood. They like blood. Right? So you have a couple of options. Oh, that's terrible. They like blood. Well, it depends. Right? They could become a mass murderer. They could become a shochet, a ritual slaughterer. Or they could become a doctor, a surgeon. Right? It depends how you apply it. Different people. That's actually what you're saying when you say mazal tov. What tendencies is this person going to have? So I look at my kids. I'm blessed with 5 kids, and each one of them are very different. And you could see it from day one. Day one, literally day one. One came out crying, and he's been crying ever since, right? And crying. And the other came out very calm and chill. She's also more calm and chill. It just. And by the way, who says that kids should all be the same? So the question is, does that mean people born with bad traits? People are not born with bad traits. They're born with traits. Now they can express those traits. By the way, it could be a good trait they have. Let's say they're giving. Right? Speaking about giving, yeah. So a person, let's say, could a person be a natural giver more than another person? Mm-hmm. Could a person be more of a natural giver, assuming that giving is a good thing? Right? And the answer is, yeah. People could be born with, but then again, some people get born with the talent, the ability to give more than others. It's just easier for them to put their hand in their pocket and give something, even on a simple level. Some people, it's just harder. Right? Maybe that's nature, maybe it's nurture, but let's just say it's nature. Maybe they're born with that ability or disability. So that means they're not bad. That's just their test in life is they're going to have to dig a little bit deeper. It does mean also that when they do give, they get more schar, more merit for the giving, right? Because they've had to do a lot more in order to give. They're going against their natural tendency. It's kind of irrelevant whether it's nature or nurture because when a person is that point, they got to give, they still got to do it. Was I born like this? Is it because I learned this?
It doesn't matter.
In the end, it doesn't really matter. They still have to do it. Now, when it comes to their own personal cheshbon accounting with God, it makes a difference. They could turn around and be like, I gave $10, you gave $10, but I shouldn't be like, your $10 is worth more because it's much harder. Right? So they get more schar, more reward for that giving. The act of giving yourself needed more, and therefore, lofum tsar agra. Right? Says the Mishnah. According to the challenge, so too is the reward. Some people may be born angry people. They're just born with a temper. It could be. They didn't learn it. They come from very, very nice, calm parents. They have very tranquil lives.
Could be like chemistry of their brain.
Could be. Could be the synapses a certain way. Could be the way they still have to overcome it. Yeah. Right? But it works physically. Maybe some people are genetically fat. Right? So it could be. People could be born genetically with many challenges and disabilities. So the question is, well, what am I going to do about it? How do I overcome this? Do I try to overcome this? What exactly do I become as a person who's dealing with this kind of stuff? That's the question they need to figure out. So we all got to figure this stuff out.
Yeah.
Right? To what degree do I invest myself in improving this challenge or trait?
Mm-hmm.
Some people are not able to give. It's almost, I can't say it's impossible, because I've seen people turn around, but I've dealt with couples who are dating, engaged, married for many, many years, and they just don't have the ability. They're just, in essence, takers. They've never worked that muscle. Whenever someone says do something, they cannot I don't just mean money. I mean giving their time, their effort, a smile. It's also giving. Right?
Yeah.
A generous word. All these things are forms of giving. They just can't do it. It's an astonishing thing. I mean, I used to be of the opinion, which I've changed now, that everyone has the ability to be in a good, healthy, successful relationship. I used to say that when I was young and, starry-eyed. I started this whole rabbi thing 20 years ago. And now I'm like, no, they don't. They really, really don't. They just, for whatever reason, whether it's natural or not, they just don't have the ability to become a good, giving person. And they're not able to be in a healthy relationship. They can get married. Oh, anyone can do that. Right? Fall in love, buy flowers, go on vacation, make a big wedding. But to stay married or to be in a good, healthy relationship where one of the partners is not abused and taken advantage of day in, day out. I mean, the key is to try to figure this out before you get married. While you're dating, you got to look for these signs. That's a different discussion we've spoken about before, which needs to be spoken about more. But how do we get onto this?
I said it's like natural to have.
Right. Oh, very good. So some people have it naturally. Okay, that's the gift they're given, and some people have to work at it and put effort and to really try for. And I've seen people turn around. Then again, I've seen people who do have it naturally hang out with the wrong people, get involved with the wrong ideas, and they can turn as well.
Yeah.
I've seen that as well. Yeah. Right? The Sefer Chinuch says this. Sefer Chinuch says that Adam nifal kefi pu'ulatav. People are influenced by their actions. Adam nifal, he says it a few times. He's talking about Pesach and Sukkot, actually. That's when he starts to talk about it, because that's when people are really involved in doing stuff, right? I mentioned the Sefer Chinuch a lot. But it comes down to, he says people can hang out. You have a person who's just good. Just a good, nice, honest person. But they hang out with bad people, they become bad. Just no assurances. And I've seen people who are terrible individuals with terrible midot, and they just turn it around. And they're able to hang out with good people, learn from them, and slowly, right? They start to take on good traits, and people, I am a strong believer that people can change. I just saw someone today, I'm not going to say who was lived a very disgusting life, right? Very, just not a good person in terms of their relationships. If you met this person on the street, be very nice to you, right? Was just emotionally abusive, and we got him on a certain track, and we went on trips, and we got him the right help, and now he's a married individual, a very, very happy married life. I know that because I asked his wife. Straight up. Is he behaving himself? If he isn't, I'll be on his case. I can say that. I have a license to do that. Okay? So there's no guarantees. But then some people, they just don't get it. They just don't get it. So the key is giving. Now, it gets more complicated because not all giving is the same. Some people give in order to take, like narcissists, we've said before. Their reason for giving is because I want to take from you. In other words, this is a transaction. This isn't a chesed. I'm giving you because I need something from you.
It's not even intentional most of the time, I feel like. It's not even intentional.
Maybe not.
It's like you don't even realize.
Yeah, maybe it's not intentional. Maybe it's something that's just the natural way they do things. It's always about me. Right? It's always about me, and I'll give, but in the end, I'm going to take.
Yeah.
That's why I'm getting involved. That's why I'm involved in this relationship.
I mean, at the end of the day, isn't everything taking because you're gaining love?
Not always. You see, getting in. Yeah.
You're giving to get love.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, I'm not saying taking is a bad thing.
Or you're giving to get reward.
Could be. It could
so
be.
It's not selfish.
You got to be careful. No. It's a great. Hey, you know what? If that's enough, you know, it's famous Gemara. of a great rabbi on his deathbed, and he said, he gave a bracha to his students, and he said that your fear of God should be as much as fear of people. And I'm like, well, that's it? Right? That's it? I should fear as much as I fear people? And I'm like, yeah, halavai, just that. Right? In other words, your relationship to people is a good indicator, right, of your relationship to Hashem as well. Mm-hmm. And if that's what's going to help you to figure out how to be good or bad in relationship to Hashem, that's good. Right? So yeah, we are motivated by kavod, honor, by money, by love for us. But if that's going to motivate us to do the right thing, okay.
But is it more ideal to not be motivated by anything like that and just be motivated for like sanctifying Hashem?
Yeah.
Is that the like highest form?
That seems to be the highest form. But that's a high level.
It's so high.
Yeah. That's not
Are
easy.
you at that level yet?
Yeah, absolutely. No, there's no doubt about it. Selfless giving. But again, like a muscle, you get better at it.
I always think about like how am I going to reach that level? It's just too hard.
Don't have parents usually like a selfless giving because they just give to their child?
Yeah. Parents, well, not all parents, but one of the reasons we have this mitzvah kibbud av va'em actually the chinuch says this as well, I believe, is primarily because your mother held you for 9 months, right, or so, and took care of you. That itself, that form of giving, right, we assume. By the way, even if they didn't, you still have to show them honor and respect. Right? We spoke about that story of Dom ben Sina, right? We spoke about him before, yeah? Who was a non-Jewish boy who was abused by his parents. But realize his parents were abusive. Actually, they were insane. And he still had to respect them. He didn't love them, he still had to respect them. But yeah, parents do give that's interesting. That's why, how come animals, as soon as they're born, off they go. They amble, get a couple of days, do their own thing. And humans, right? 5 years, you got to take care of them. 10 years, you got to take care of them. 20 years, if they're Jewish, 35 years. You know what I'm saying? It's not a coincidence. How come animals suddenly off they go? And you don't see mummy giraffes with their kids, right, for like 20 years. Like, so, which school are you looking at? No, I don't want you going there. When are you going over here? Right? You don't see that. Right, you're on your own. I'll feed you as long, and then it's not a coincidence. There is no greater trait. One of my advisors put it like this, he says, having children is miracle grow for your personality. That's how he describes it. You know, miracle grow, stuff they put on the grass, right? Having children is miracle grow for your personality. Powerful statement. Yeah. That's when it begins. When you start dealing with kids, it could also end. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot. Funny enough, I'm dealing with a couple now whose kids are now leaving. You know, they're going empty nesters. You know this thing?
Yeah.
There's a weird phenomenon, which is very common, and it'll make sense to you, where the kids leave the home and the parents sometimes get divorced. See this? It happens. Why? Because it used to be the kids in the home and they become your focus every day. And they leave, and it's just you two again. You're like, oh my God, we're alone after whatever it is, 21, 22 years, yeah, of being together. Now we're alone. And like, so now what do? They have to restart the marriage all over again. And some people cannot handle it. They literally cannot handle it. Some people can't wait for the kids to get out of the house. They can have a proper marriage without dealing with all the...
So it's not possible
That's okay.
to have a proper marriage with kids?
It is, but it's different. Your focus is different.
Really?
I'm saying your marriage with kids is how you really build your marriage.
Yeah.
Right? That's when you become a family. You become a family when you start having kids. Right? God willing. But it's important to find, it's another discussion off now, personal, private time just for you, not with the kids, very, very important. Right? To find, boundaries and all the rest of it. That's a whole big discussion. I'm talking about when they leave home, right? Suddenly the parents are like, wow, what do we do? And some people are like, We have nothing in common. All we had in common for the past 20 years was the kids. But we didn't grow in our marriage and relationship to have anything else. It makes sense, right? You've heard such a phenomenon? It makes sense. Now you think about it. The key is, for the 20 years of there, you got to build your relationship, because eventually the kid's going to be, because up to that point, you got to change your diaper, do this, and the kid's going to school, and if you're going to make breakfast, and so they're gone and like, wow, I have no idea who you are. Sounds crazy, right? You live in the same bed for 20 years. Like, I hear people say this to me, goes, I never knew my spouse. I got to know them. And some people are like, it's a beautiful, I get to really know them now. We first met. Then kids turned up, right? We're dealing with that. You're always chasing your tail. And now I get to actually, my wife's an amazing person. Do you know who this happened to? It just came into my head. Who's the king of Shalom Bayit? And the queen of Shalom Bayit? And the Torah goes out of its way to talk about the Shalom Bayit in a number of ways. Very interestingly, actually. This is in the Bible, the Torah itself.
Is it Sarah now?
Yeah. Abraham and Sarah, very good. Abraham and Sarah are pulled out as being, and the Torah goes out of its way to talk about how they work together to bring people under Kanfei Shekhinah, under God's protective wing. And Makarvim, they work together. And they're always active and busy. And there's actually a point later on where they were traveling, because they had to go, from Ur Kasdim to Haran to Eretz Yisrael. And Rashi says there was a point where he actually saw her and said, wow, now realize how beautiful you are. You were married for decades. For decades you were married. And there's a whole tumult among the Chazal, the rabbis, trying to figure out what did he realize suddenly. Some say because he was traveling so hard, she kept her beauty. Some say that she was so snoo, I never really got to see her. Right? But at some point he was able to, But I want to say, those answers could well be true. I want to add something though, but he saw things in her later on when they were, this is much later in life, right? And appreciated her beauty many years later. It's not easy. That takes practice. It doesn't pop up out of nowhere. It's only 60 years old. Oh, you're great. That could, for most people, be way, way, way too late. Yeah? It's okay.
Do you think it's better for couples to wait like a few years and then have kids so they can build their relationship together?
Do I think? That's a very, very good question. Have you heard me speak about this before? Because I've not spoken about this before. Or definitely in a while. The question is, should couples have kids straight away? My thinking has evolved on this. My initial thinking was, first of all, it depends how old the couple are, right? Sometimes they reach a certain age, I'm like, don't wait, have kids. Sometimes, however, and this depends on the couple, and there are many poskim that will give women the chance to, go on birth control initially. Some people come to me, we want to go travel, have a good time, do kind of stuff. So I'm like, okay, we're leaving that aside, okay? We want to get to know each other before the kids come. You'll have 9 months, it's enough, believe me. Even if you get pregnant straight away. But that's a great merit. But sometimes they're dealing with stuff and they need time for Shalom Bayit reasons, not because we want to go vacationing together. And then it's okay to push it off a little bit. Right? Take a little bit of time just to ease into things. Because there's but it's her decision. It's the woman's decision. The man has an input, but this is her life and she's the one who's going to have to carry the baby. She's going to have to deal with all the consequences that come with it. So actually, for example, between kids, my wife wanted a bit of a break. So we went to see my rabbi, my posek. We sat down with him, for many years, and he said to my wife, so he said, okay, so what do you, so we're like, well, we don't want to have kids straight away. My wife wants to go on birth control. What are your thoughts on it? And he didn't speak to me. He said, goes, how do you feel? She goes, I'm exhausted. Okay, take 6 months off. We'll talk about it then. So, take 6 months. We'll talk about it. Didn't ask me how I feel. Who cares how I feel? It's good to be here. it's her decision. If she feels she needs it, again, different rabbis answer differently. You have to speak to your local, your LOR, your local Orthodox rabbi. But you need to have some clarity. And if it's for shalom bayit purposes, the rabbis will allow it. Yeah. So my thinking, I used to be like, just have babies, will work out. Now I'm like, I get it. Not because, I don't say it because, well, let's see if we have a real marriage over here. Because you're not going to figure that out in 6 months or a year. It's just you need some more, because, when one gets pregnant, there's a lot of emotional and physical stuff that comes with it. Listen, it's a bracha, but it could well be. And there are many, many poskim who will say, definitely between children, but even starting off, I'll let you work on stuff. It's better that way. Yeah. What else is on your minds? I got so much more to say. I have a loop in my head of the conversations I have with couples all week. I'm dealing with a couple right now, actually. A representative called me up to ask my opinion on this couple. I cancelled them because I do counseling, I met with them a bunch of times. And this representative called me up to think. She said, "What?" So I've been dealing with her. She says, "What do you think they should do?" Right? What do you think they should do? So I said, "Hi guys." So I said, "Is this on or off the record?" Because off the record. I said, "Let me ask you a question. If this girl was your daughter, what would you say?" What would you say? Because they've been having so much drama in the relationships. Sounds weird, but some people love drama. They love it. They feed off it, right? Like it's an algae, They love it, like a parasite. It gives them chiyus. It gives them, a life force. It's too much. If it was your daughter, she goes, "If it was my daughter, I'd say break up." I'm like, then why would you say differently to this girl? You have to look at the people you're dealing with as your children. Even though you didn't bring them up, but if you get to know them. So I said to her, my advice is, although I don't tell them this, because you can't tell people to break up, it's got to be their decision, because they're going to come back and be like, "You want to break up with this person? Now we're together married, look what you would have done." So I don't want to, although 99% of the time I am right. But people can change, which is what we started a conversation with. People can change. I said they should break up. They should not be together. Way too much drama, way too many months of like a roller coaster, right? People think, there's big highs and low lows. That's good for roller coasters, but eventually you get off a roller coaster, you're dizzy and nauseous, right? Let's be honest. What you want is like a cruise ship. Sometimes you hit some patchy waters, but generally speaking, things are smooth. You want things to be smooth and calm. So if you're in a relationship and things are just, and people say to me, "How do I know she's the one?" They want some kind of like voice coming out of heaven. All right? So I'm like, I'm not that voice from heaven, I'm so sorry. But I do say to them, which I've received from my great rabbis and teachers and advisors, if things are just moving smoothly, there's always going to be a little parents, in-laws, money, arguments, fights, weddings, that. But if things are like this, big waves, it's a problem. People are like, well, maybe I have to overcome that. I'm like, once you get married, it's only going to get worse. Right? Only going to get worse. Don't get easier. Things don't calm down once you get married. Once we get married, it's going to be all right. Things don't just become all right. People live with the discomfort, or they figure out how to make it better. That's what happens. It doesn't go away. All the terrible traits and bad challenges you have while you're dating, they don't disappear. They're still there. The question is, do you work on them to get better? Do you actually put effort into them becoming better, which said they can with effort? Or do you like, I'll live with it? And people can live with terrible circumstances. I'm dealing now with a divorced couple. He will not give what he owes this woman. It's always the same thing. It's always the same thing. I always say to them, did you see this side of him when you were dating? Many times I'll say, sometimes I'll say I didn't, but I saw him once we got married. But most of the time I saw things while we were dating, but I ignored them. Because I was so in love. I was like, love? Fell in love when you got married? Who told you to do that? It's a stupid idea. What are you thinking? You out of your mind? But I love him. And he loves me. I'm like, no he doesn't. He doesn't know what love is. You're just two dating children. But I'm 30. I know. So I said that. You always pick up on this thing. Looking for, as we said in previous classes, midot, character. That's what you're looking for. That's the key. And if you start once you get married, you're too late. Way too late. I'm trying to think of the conversations I've had just this week. I had that one, and I had that one. What else am I dealing with right now? That's what's in my head. It's always buzzing in my head now. Should we do one second? Should we do a trial separation? They want to do trial separations. Stupid. What a ridiculous thing to do. Either you're in or you're out. You can take a day or two. You're not separating though. If you need some space out here, well, you gotta separate. We're gonna date other people come back. Terrible. Terrible. Other people disagree with this, but it's terrible. Yes.
How are you able to pick up on those midot? Because some people are just manipulative.
Some people are manipulative. It's not easy. I'll be honest with you. To pick up while you're dating whether the real personality of this person. Research is number one. Right? You gotta speak to people who know them. Right? My daughter is dating right now. I mean, no one in particular. If you don't know, let me know. But and I call and ask. I speak to friends, sometimes family members, right? Counselors, advisors. Ask questions. You can look into it. Two, many times you can't see it. Usually things come out eventually while you're dating them, but you've got to stay honest and not too emotionally attached, because if you're too attached, you'll give it a value. You're always gonna, that was nothing. You need an advisor. Everyone needs a spiritual advisor and a dating advisor. It doesn't have to be the same person, but it can be. Someone who knows you, who can guide you through this, right? So that when you pick up on things like, is that a small thing, is that a big thing? Is that a red flag? Is that a deal breaker, is that not? Many times things that are deal breakers, people think are deal breakers are not. Many people think, it's nothing. Ooh, that's a big red flag. We've got to think about that. So you need someone else. And parents are great, but they're too involved and no one's good enough for my little boy. Nothing's too good for my little girl, right? They never have enough, distance. I'm not saying your parents know you well, but you need someone on the outside, I think. That's what you need. Yeah. And you got to pray, because in the end, only God knows. Again, I've seen families, and another thing I see a lot is sometimes these guys start making money and they change. I'm talking like big money. And they change, and their priorities change, and the girl's like, he was one way, and then he got involved in some business deal, became very successful, and suddenly it triggers something inside them. I don't know, because I'm not rich yet. When I'm there, I will let you know. But it changes them. Something snaps inside them. Maybe it's always been there, and they demand honor and respect, and they start everyone's like praying to God for success and parnasa. Everything comes with a price, my dear. Right? Everyone's like, marry a rich boy or a rich girl. First of all, first they're not rich themselves. It's usually their parents, they're too young to have made a lot of money. But if they are themselves, like, okay. Again, not always. I'm friends with someone, I spoke to him today, who's a billionaire, who is the nicest person and a fantastic husband and father. Fantastic. And I saw some people who make some money and just become disgusting. Yeah? So, how do you preempt that? How are you going to figure out whether this, you ask them, when you're going to do $1 billion, what would you do? Don't ask them that, you'll be there all night. I have a whole list, won't it? Every man's got a whole list of what he'd do with $1 billion. Right? Point by point. Priorities and down.
I think it's good to like deliberately, I don't want to say deliberately, but like kind of put them in different scenarios to see what they look like. Like, I don't know, like it's like you don't go to dinner every single time you go on a date, but like take them to different places to see.
Yeah, you can do that. You can get to know different people. I mean, you get a lot by seeing them in a family environment. I'll tell you a great story. Since you said that, I haven't told the story before, actually. I know, or maybe I did. I know someone who was dating a girl and wanted to spend Shabbat together. Shabbat's a very good thing. I know someone actually who only lets someone get like involved with it when they see them on Shabbat. They want to see them on Shabbat. What are they like? You know, Shabbat, no distractions. You get to know them a little bit. So this girl went to a community of this guy for Shabbat. Okay, you with me? And they were engaged and just spending Shabbat with this community. So they put the girl up with a family that he knows. He knows the family. He doesn't put her in his house with his parents, you know. So he put the girl up, and they had meals together, but she was sleeping in this other house. It's a true story. I heard this from the guy it happened to. While she was at this house, there was a baby there. I mentioned this story before. Really? Where? I'm not telling you. Started crying middle of the night. And it made a loud noise. And babies cry, they wake up the house. She opens the door, it's like 2 in the morning. Right? Remember, she's a guest in someone's house. Right? And she was, can someone please shut that baby up? Boom! Wow. So the mother house saw that. So, does she mention something to him?
Is she obligated?
Is she obligated to? Is that Lashon Hara? Is that Lashon... It's a big question. It's a big question. If it was your son, would you want to know? Very, very good. So she did. But she was very careful. There's ways to do it. And she said, listen, I'll tell you what happened, and this is something I saw. It could be she was very, very tired or irritated, you know what I'm saying? But someone else's house, I'm saying, yeah, put your head under the pillow and curse under your breath and try to get to sleep if you're tired. I don't know, I'll tell you. He did not break up with her immediately. He wasn't like, well, that's a deal breaker. But now he was aware of that. He started to see, again, it's a bit of a chicken and egg, but he's definitely started to see parts of her personality that were reflective, that just wasn't exposed to him. He would never have picked that up. This picked it up for him. It was an unusual circumstance, unusual situation, you know? And it helped. And it helped. Yeah. He eventually did not get married to her. I don't know who she got married to, but I would call that a red flag. Is that in and of itself a deal breaker? No, people have bad nights. People, you know. But that was indicative of other stuff that she was dealing with. Oh, not dealing with in this case. So yeah. Yeah, do you create circumstances? Things happen. You date long enough and well enough, you'll find yourself in enough situations, in parking lots, in restaurants, with friends, meeting his family, meeting his friends, how he talks about people, how he relates to his siblings. I'm being video, so I have to be very careful. Everything I say, I try to be very, very anonymous. So I'm going to change this a little bit, although it's impossible to find out who this is by me describing it. But well, we'll talk generally. people who have fallen out with their siblings and their parents in a bad, big way. Not just like argue, we all get argue and shout with our siblings and parents, right? That's what they're for, right? Especially baby sisters and baby brothers, they're punchback, right? I'm only kidding. But I met someone recently and was a certain name, and I said, "Are you related to this person?" He goes, "Yeah, that's my ex-brother." I just met the guy. I know I'm a rabbi, and as soon as people meet me, I have this thing which I had even as a child. People want to just like reveal everything about themselves immediately. I have that kind of. I realize I'm 50, almost 50 years old. I know exactly who I am, right? But from a very early age, I'm like, why are you telling me everything? I never understood it. I end up becoming, now I get paid for it, right? But he opened. But I felt very, very strange publicly to say such a thing. Okay, fine. He opens up to me. Okay, he's a rabbi. I'm a rabbi, so he wants to. But for me, this is a red flag. It's a big deal. I'm like, I don't like that. My siblings annoy me. I'm angry with them. Right? We're always fighting. I hear. But a complete disconnect. Again, I'm not judging. Some people are crazy, and sometimes you have to make a big separation between yourself and family members. I know someone, this is rare, who did not invite her mother to her wedding. That's really bad. I mean, you got to be lying, you know what I'm saying? One occasion. Usually we work it out. Our parents were divorced. There was a whole big, he was going to be there, the mother's going to be there, and they got into a big fight. So it was a whole big, even that was weird, extenuating circumstances. But how they treat siblings, how they treat each other, all these things are there to be noticed. The signs are always there. The question is whether you see the signs or not. That's really the question you have to figure out. Okay, we ran out of time. Any other thoughts, questions? This class, completely different than any other class I give. I just jump from topic to topic. It's like whatever's in my head. It's like therapy for me. I should be paying you to be here.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I was once in a dating show, and the Rebbitzin was saying how, I don't want to scare anyone, but she was saying if you don't find your husband first, if you don't go and find your zivug, then someone else is going to come and take him. And then I went up to her after, it was a few months after, because it was really on my mind. And then I told her, what did you mean by that? Do you have proof for that? And she's like, yeah. It says I don't know, she brought some proof. And she's like, yeah.
What proof did she bring?
I don't know.
I'm saying, she said, if you don't find your husband,
then someone else could come and take him. She's like, you have to be active and you have to.
I think I don't know who this person is. You don't tell me who it is. She may be misinterpreting an idea that you're allowed to get engaged sometimes when you're not allowed to get married. There is such an idea in halacha, during the 3 weeks, for example, right? Certain times when you don't get married, during the Omer, but you can get engaged. Why? Because if you don't get engaged, there's no real commitment there, and someone else can come and take this person from you. That's true. But to say that you should go around life, I mean, what are you meant to do? Grab men? I mean, you know what I'm saying? You don't seem like such an individual, because if I don't grab someone else, well, I mean, where does that even leave you? I don't understand the statement.
Because there's the concept of that Hashem is given, He knows who.
Okay, that is true. Hashem is the ultimate shadchan. I'm with you. So what are you meant to do exactly? If that's true, then whoever's meant to be with me, I have emunah, then no matter what I do, eventually Kadosh Baruch will find my thing. But to go around hunting the person with a harpoon gun and shooting them with like a blow dart, drag them back to your house for for a wedding, I'm not fully understanding what that point was. People need to be serious, but don't overdo it. I think there's a lot of pressure on people anyway. I don't think it's helping. Having said that, I mean, I'm not sure exactly what she was saying when she said those words to you, so I'm not putting it down in any way, heaven forbid. But some people do not put in enough hishtadlut, enough effort.
But that's just
That's
another
true.
thing, that whenever you go to, let's say like someone's form of ishtalut is like going to shadchanim.
Yeah.
But shadchanim don't, I don't know, like,
Well, different shadchanim. Well, okay, fine. We could talk about that. There's different forms of hishtadlut, and some forms are better than others. Some people, it's online dating, right? There's irreligious, you know what I'm saying, and people that's the way they do it, you know. Some people, it's going to parties, events. Some people, it's like going to shadchanim, but everyone's got to do something.
can tefillah just be someone's form of ishtalut when it comes to
Not today. No. It's an extra piece. Prayer is in a very important component. As I've said 1,000 times, the longest prayer in the Torah is Eliezer praying for a shidduch for Yitzchak. Not a coincidence. It's the longest prayer in the entire Torah. But that is not sufficient. Even Avraham Avinu sent Eliezer to go find someone. Prayer was part of that. But he was looking for Midot in Rivka. He was praying, and Baruch Baruch Hu blessed him. He found like that, right? Which is a big thing. But even that, Avram didn't just sit there, pray to Hashem, and suddenly she walked through the door. Right, so the tent, hello! And the tent opens. I'm here for your son. I mean, it could be for some people. I know some people who get married first date. They date, not the first date, but the first person, yeah. I shared a room with such a guy. Yeah? He's now a big rabbi in South Africa.
But still, what if someone tries for, let's say, like 4 years, they go to shadchanim, and then like nothing comes out of it, and it gets like frustrating.
It is very frustrating.
So then Hashem doesn't want someone to be frustrated. He wants them to try, and if they try and it doesn't work, then why can't tefillah just be their own?
Very, very good question. It's part of a bigger question of why people are challenged in general. We know that historically, shidduchim and having children is something that people are challenged with. Right? We know about it. We know the imot going to have kids, which is part of getting married in the first place. All the imot except for Leah had trouble having kids. There's a reason why. The Gemara says, because Hashem likes to hear the voice and tefillot of tzadkaniyot, of great holy Jewish women. I don't know the answer to your question. We don't know why. Some people have to go through more.
So the person in that situation still has to go.
Yeah. Don't give up. Again, you got to do ishtadlut. There's different forms of ishtadlut. Depends on the individual. Yeah. They need an advice to help them navigate that space. Right? Again, I deal with a lot of shadchanim. I'm part of big WhatsApp groups and I meet with them. My wife put together a I can say this publicly. Give me a second. Let me just download this in my head. Yeah, I can. I put together a big shidduch event recently for girls in our area. She put in a tremendous effort. We paid a lot of money, different amounts. One, Shadchan said, I cannot come. We wanted her there. She's famous. We paid her a lot of money just to be there, just to be at this event. As soon as we offer the money, she says, I'm there. Maybe a little bit suspicious. We'll leave that aside. I have no problem, though. You want to pay Shadchan, pay Rab. I have no problem with that whatsoever. She came to my wife afterwards. She said, this is the caliber of people you're dealing with? That happened. I said, thank God I wasn't there. I would have opened my mouth. My wife bit her tongue, which is tough for her, because my wife, God bless her, can have an opinion, I tell you. Wow. She was able to. But yeah. But there was some shadchanim over there who were paid nothing at all, and loving and trying and pushing. Not everyone. It's like lawyers. It's like teachers. Just because you have the title teacher or lawyer or doctor doesn't mean you're good. I mean, that's the profession you chose. So they're not all the same. Yeah. Oof. Thank God I wasn't there. Oof. So why just fake it? Just thank you so much. And in your mind think, bunch of losers. You have to say it to the woman who paid you all that money? Okay. Bad me dot don't stop. See, he has something to say. I'm so sorry. Did you?
I was gonna say before, like it sounds like the lady was just trying to get you to, trying to teach everyone else and to like be proactive in terms of.
Could be, yeah. It could well be. She was just trying to get people to, take ownership. Take ownership, yeah.
But didn't you like once say like you could miss your zivug, like if
A person can miss their zivug. It's very difficult. And do you have one zivug or more? That's a much bigger question. Bigger question. Some say you have one, but most say no. Some say you have a number of potential spouses. Depends where you are in life, how old you are. All of them have potential for you to become, great in of your right and have a wonderful marriage together. But we know Esav did. Esav had a zivug, and he said no. He was meant to marry Leah. So it's possible, but it's very, very difficult. You got to really, really like, you know.
Would you miss it if they marry non-Jewish? And I feel like it's such a big thing.
And then what happens to that person who was meant to marry that person? who got
There's
married?
no one. There is the Gemara says a bat kol comes out, but that's just one potential person. There could be more people than a person. You don't have one zivug. Actually, the Gemara says people have two, right? But other people say there could be many, many individuals who a person could potentially marry. Yeah. But yeah, there's an intermarriage problem. It's making it harder. I mean, just think statistically, right? With Jewish boys, for the most part, listen, let's say intermarriage 55%, whatever it is today, right? Here in the United States, anyway. And let's say, which is my conjecture, that's mostly Jewish boys with non-Jewish girls. Right? That's just anecdotal, but from my 20 years of working, that's what it usually is, although not always. Yeah? Let's guys go around, right? Statistically speaking. Funny, the Hasidic community have the opposite problem, by the way. I mean, they don't have intermarriage at all. But they have more girls than boys. Very interesting. They have more girls than boys. Right. So no, other way around, I'm sorry. More boys than girls, I'm sorry. More boys than girls. The girls get to, you know, hold the upper hand. Any other thoughts, questions, comments on anything we discussed tonight? Because we discussed like 400 topics. But they were all great. And I enjoyed it very, very much. Yeah, are we good?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome.